"I saved you some cake, mister," the little girl said to the CEO, alone on his birthday. He hadn't cried in years. The towering glass facade of Stone Real Estate shimmered under the New York night sky, its 60 floors lit with purpose and power. Inside the executive suite, assistants and department heads stood nervously around a meticulously decorated conference room. On the table sat a handcrafted cake, its dark chocolate glaze glinting under soft lights. Beside it lay a stack of untouched party hats. The elevator chimed. William Stone stepped out, his tailored suit sharp, his expression sharper. At 36, he was the youngest CEO the city had seen in decades, a real estate visionary with ice in his veins. As he entered, an assistant flicked off the lights, and a half-hearted chorus rang out. "Surprise! Happy birth! I do not need a party." William cut in flatly, his voice slicing through the room. "I need silence." Silence obeyed. He walked past them, not glancing at the cake with his name on it, and pressed the elevator button. When the doors opened, he stepped inside. The party hats remained untouched. So did the cake. Outside, the wind had picked up. The rain wasn't heavy, but steady, a soft whisper that blanketed the city in gray. William walked with no umbrella, his hair damp, shoes echoing against the pavement. He had no destination. He just needed to be anywhere but there. South he walked, until the skyline blurred. Polished storefronts gave way to brick walls and rusted fences. Beyond the sheen of his empire stood the bones of the city he once knew, rundown lots, shuttered shops, buildings clinging to their last breaths. He stopped in front of one such place, a half-demolished lot, the remains of a tenement giving way to a future skyscraper that bore his name on the blueprints. Next to it stood a squat low-income housing block lit by a flickering exterior light. The rain pooled on the steps. He might have turned back, but then he saw it. Under a cracked plastic awning, a small folding table had been set up. A mismatched tablecloth fluttered in the breeze. 2 cupcakes sat at the center, each with a single candle. A third, short and pink, flickered weakly between them. A little girl sat on a plastic crate, swinging her legs. Her blonde curls were damp, her jacket 2 sizes too big. Beside her, a thin woman with tired eyes and a warm smile poured juice into paper cups. William stood still. The contrast struck him, this fragile celebration under broken shelter. The girl spotted him. She hopped off the crate, clumsily stepping through puddles in small sneakers. In her hand was a cupcake wrapped in a napkin. She stopped in front of William, holding it up like treasure. "Today is my birthday," she announced proudly. "I'm 4. Mommy said I could share my cake." She extended the offering. "I saved you some cake, mister." William blinked. The cold rain suddenly didn't feel so cold. He looked at her, then at the tiny, imperfect cupcake with its smudged icing and crooked candle. "That's very kind of you," he said softly. "It's your birthday today?" She nodded eagerly. He hesitated, then allowed the faintest smile. "Well, what a coincidence. It's my birthday, too." The woman under the awning, her blonde hair tucked into a worn cap, looked up, surprised. She stood slowly, holding the second cupcake in both hands. The girl beamed, spun on her heels, and ran back toward her mother. Mommy, it's his birthday too." William followed her with his eyes. The woman met his gaze. For a moment, her expression was unreadable. Then she offered a nod and a quiet smile. "Happy birthday, mister," the girl called, her voice bright in the dimness. And for the first time in years, William heard those words and felt them, not rehearsed, not out of obligation, not for favor. Just a child sharing her cupcake. Just a mother offering kindness. Just a moment, small, soft, and real. He looked at the cupcake in his hand, and for the first time in years, William Stone did not feel alone. Sparkles polished rewrite with correct punctuation and flow a brown paper bag sat on the counter with a handwritten label, for Lisa. Inside were a small fleece-lined jacket in soft lavender, a stack of coloring books with a fresh pack of crayons, and a bottle of children's vitamins. There was no card, no name, just a quiet gesture. Claire noticed the bag when she arrived for her shift. The receptionist, a woman who rarely made eye contact with janitorial staff, nodded curtly and gestured to it. "It's for your daughter, I think," she said. "Someone left it here." Claire took the bag slowly, brows furrowed. In the supply closet on the 3rd floor, she opened it. The jacket was new, tag still on. The coloring books featured smiling animals and fairy tale castles. The vitamins were the same brand her pediatrician used to recommend, back when she still had insurance. She stood in silence for a long moment, overwhelmed by the weight of the kindness. Then gently, she closed the bag again, sealed it with a strip of tape, and carried it back to the front desk. The receptionist looked up in surprise as Claire offered a polite but firm smile. "We may not have much," she said, setting the bag down, "but I want my daughter to grow up proud." That night, in his private office on the 60th floor, William watched the footage from the lobby security camera. He had not intended to see it. He was simply reviewing building logs. But the image of Claire holding the bag caught his eye. He watched as she read the note, opened the package, and then slowly returned it. Her words played back in crystal clarity through the audio feed. Not prideful, not bitter, just steadfast. The screen froze on her face as she walked away. William leaned back in his chair, unsure why the rejection felt more like a lesson than an insult. A few days later, Claire and Lisa came into the building again. It was a Saturday morning, and Lisa tagged along during her mother's weekend cleaning shift. She sat quietly in the employee break room, drawing, while Claire worked. William had come in early to review building specs, but when he learned from a passing staff member that the little girl with the cupcake was downstairs, he paused. Instead of returning to his office, he made a quiet call to security. 10 minutes later, Lisa was standing on the rooftop garden of the building, her eyes wide with wonder. The garden wasn't public. It was a hidden gem atop the tower, known only to a few employees and rarely used. Raised beds of herbs and flowers framed a small green lawn. Wind whispered through tall bamboo stalks, and butterflies danced among lavender blooms. William stepped back, watching as Lisa ran barefoot across the grass, spinning with joy. Claire stood beside him, arms crossed, the breeze tugging at a loose strand of her hair. "This place is beautiful," she said softly. "I thought she might enjoy it," William replied. Claire nodded, then looked at him, her expression unreadable. "I appreciate what you're doing, but you don't need to." "It's nothing," he said. "That's the thing," she replied gently. "To you it might be nothing, but to us, it's everything. And if we accept everything from a stranger, we lose a part of ourselves." William turned to her, studying the way her eyes stayed clear, even as her voice trembled. There was strength there, not defiance, but dignity, and he respected it. "Then maybe I can be less of a stranger," he said quietly. Claire's gaze lingered on him for a moment. Then, without speaking, she looked back at her daughter, who was now picking dandelions as if they were treasures. She smiled. That evening, as the sun dipped below the skyline, Claire and Lisa left the rooftop garden hand in hand. Lisa held a fistful of crushed flowers and talked about planting a garden of her own someday. William stood at the edge of the rooftop, watching them disappear into the elevator. And for the first time in a long while,